it doesn't come down. Now, you want to live on a boat? Yes, you're gonna have days like this one where you're literally gonna have to put your hands on the And that's what happened today. We had an obstruction on the hose that goes from the head all the way to the holding tank. Okay. Since this was the first time it happened to us, we had no clue what was going on. So a fix that would take maybe 2 hours to resolve, it took us much longer, as it was a trial and error exercise. We started by testing the pump. It was not it, as it was providing enough pressure into the hose. Next, we tested the first part of the hose, the one connected the pump to the bigger hose that is behind the head, and see if the obstruction was there. Nope, not there yet. At this point, we realized that it would be on the longer hose that led to the holding tank. There was definitely something blocking the passage. I thought that the water pressure from the land hose would do it, so I connected the water hose and turned it on. We used the deck hose that usually do have lots of water pressure here and felt it would do the trick. Maybe you can hear a little bit of the water dripping into the holding tank, but unfortunately it did not clear the obstruction. It was still there. So I'm gonna put this yellow thing here on the hose because it's very hard to bring the hose from there to there to pass it through because the space is very tiny. So once I remove this hose here, there's gonna be an empty space in the middle. So if I have this guiding line, probably I can push the new hose back in place because it's very hard to put in place. I felt that the only way to remove the blockage and see what was happening inside of the hose was to totally remove it and take it outside. We started the assembling process, and as I disconnected the hose elbow that led to the holding tank, I discovered a lot of scale buildup. The water pressure that we applied on the previous step moved the scale all the way to the elbow that we couldn't see it before. At this point, I had no idea what it was and how it got there. I also decided to check inside of the water tank to see if there was any scale in it. But no, nothing there, just liquid. I started also to remove all the tie-ups that kept the hose in place, but still the hose would not slide down easily. I'll tell you, it seems like everything on a boat have an added level of complexity, and being patient and careful, not forcing things is crucial in order not to damage other things along the way. Using our phone cameras proved to be very helpful to see what was inside, where the tie-ups were located so we could cut it out. Little by little, we were progressing.
Isso é difícil puxar.
Again, we pulled and pushed, but felt like the hose was pretty heavy at some areas and not very flexible, leading us to believe that something inside of it was pretty solid. Finally, the hose was fully removed and we took it outside to learn what was going on. One thing that I recommend is to fully block the ends of the hose in order to avoid any spillage on your bilges. This will definitely help with nasty smells later on. It was great that the corks we used stayed in place the entire time, avoiding the spillage. Upon some research, we found out about a chemical reaction that happens between urine and seawater. Here's what happened. Although seawater and urine have a lot in common from a chemical perspective, when they come together, their contents can recombine in new interesting ways to form scale or insoluble salts. And this is what happened here. The hose was totally blocked by scale buildup. Our solution was to beat up the holes to free up the scale that was built inside, so we could remove it. Now, some of you may be thinking, why am I throwing the scale on the water? Keep in mind, this is not dumping black water in a marina. What you see here is the salt scale buildup, as this toilet is only used for number 1, if you know what I mean. Then you like start throwing the line inside, and it guides all the way through. Look, tá vendo? Look, it goes all the way. Good deal. All salt scale removed, holes fully cleaned, and ready to be put back in place. Wow. And now what we have to do is to reconnect the holes to the holding tank all the way to the head. I believe this is the easiest part, and I think it's gonna work out well.
What?
The moment of truth. Alright, the water is flowing. Nothing leaking. Perfect. Now, following the recommendation from our friend Sven from Noma, we're putting some soap here, dish washing soap. So it will keep the odor away. Let me put this here. So what have we learned from this experience? We learned that urine and seawater, they don't go very well together. And when very much in contact, they create a reaction that solidifies inside of the hoses, making it almost impossible for the water and the urine to go through the holes to the holding tank. And that's what happened to us. How can we avoid it? We created a little system here, which we put vinegar inside of this because we want to lower the pH level of the urine. If we lower the pH level of the urine with vinegar, this reaction is not going to happen anymore, and the pipes, the holes is not going to get clogged in the future. That's one way. There are many ways that you can lower the pH level by simply putting a lot of water inside of the head and then flushing it. That could be a way, but I think this one is going to do for us. After a busy day fixing things here at Joy, it was time for us to go out a little here in Valencia and check out the Las Fallas Festival. We had never heard of this festival before coming here to Valencia, Spain. But in simple terms, Las Fallas celebrate the arrival of spring, and is a religious holiday during which Valencians commemorate San Jose, the patron saint of carpentry.
Todos caen a mi lado, el freno lo arranqué, me siento feliz porque yo no dudo mi power. Te burlaste de mí, se hace acabó.
The festival also includes street parties, parades, and people walking around with 18th century costumes. The main event for the Las Fallas Festival, which also means the fire, is the deliberate burning to the ground of these awesome artistic monuments at the end of this anarchic celebration of creativity, mortality, and rebirth.